Good morning, student. This is your economics class. You're just going to make one register or a copy for your economics. You're going to write your index, your syllabus for your economics. This on your first slide. I'm just explaining you about your syllabus. The first term syllabus is first chapter development, second sectors of economic development. Whereas fifth chapter, that's your last chapter, is your consumer right. This is only for periodical test, portfolios और project. इस चैप्टर में से थ्योरी में से आपके कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं आएगा. तो दिस इज योर फर्स्ट टर्म syllabus which you're going to write in your copy on your first page, whereas the second term syllabus is chapter 3rd money and credit and chapter 4th globalization and the Indian economy. These are the 5 chapters which are going to be in your final exams collectively. Fifth chapter is only for your portfolio project or your periodical test, is the one which we are going to take after your lockdown is going to complete and the school is going to reopen. Now, whereas for this time, the chapter which you're going to start is your second chapter, sector of Indian economy. Why we are taking this particular chapter? Because this chapter is the one which you have done in your geography also about the three of the sectors. That's your primary, secondary, and tertiary. So it will be easy for you to understand the concept of sectors related to the इंडियन इकोनॉमी. इसीलिए हम लोग सेकेंड चैप्टर से पहले स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं, उसके बाद विल गो मूव टू द फर्स्ट चैप्टर. ठीक है क्लास. ऑल द नोट्स विल बी देयर ऑन योर स्कूल साइट. असाइनमेंट भी आपके स्कूल साइट पे ही होंगे. आप उसकी फोटो कॉपी करा के रख सकते हो. असाइनमेंट्स को यू आर गोइंग टू डू इन योर कॉपी or a register as you wish. I want that. The notes will be, if you get a time, you can write with your hands. Handwritten भी हो सकते हैं, नहीं तो आप उसका प्रिंट आउट भी निकाल के रख सकते हो. Now let us start with the chapter that's the sector of the Indian economy. If you just study about the sectors of the Indian economy, this you have done in your geography in ninth also, that we are going to do here the three sector: primary, secondary, and tertiary. Now, whereas to understand the economy of any particular country, it's the one where the sector plays a very important role and they have been divided into three particular groups according to the economic activities. It's your primary, secondary, and tertiary. Whereas the economic activity means the person who's been engaged in any such type of activity where he gets an income, money, wages, salary, that is termed as your economic activity. It is done to earn the livelihood. For example, the people working in factories, farms, or any such type of thing. Whereas non-economic activity means the people who have been engaged in those activity in return which they are not getting any income, their wages, salary, or anything, that is termed as your non-economic activity. Non-economic activity is the one which is done because of the love, care, like social worker. I can give you an example. The most beautiful example over here is your mother. Your mother is also the one who keeps on doing each and every activity or the work for you, and in return she's not getting any income, money, or salary. That is the best example of non economic activity. And why she is doing this? Because she take care of you, she love you, and she want that you should grow in a good and a better human being. तो नॉन इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी शायद क्लियर हो गई होगी. इकोनॉमिक्स को स्टडी करने के लिए हम लोग इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटीज को स्टडी करते हैं. And these economic activities are the one which are mainly divided into a country into a different sectors. That's your primary sector, secondary sector, and your tertiary sector. The first comes the primary sector. Let us start from the primary sector. The primary sector is the activity which is undertaken directly by using a natural resources. Like for example, the people who have been engaged in doing agriculture, fishing, mining, they all are the one who are being engaged in primary activity. Whereas It's also the one which has been produced by exploiting natural resources. It is also the one as the dairy products which we are using it, they have been dependent on the biological process of animal and fodder, but milk, egg, etc. are also the natural resources which we are consuming it. We can also take an example of minerals. They are also a natural resources which are being exploited from the interior of the earth crust. When we produce a good by exploiting natural resources, it is an activity of the primary sector. Most of the natural product we get from agriculture, dairy, fishing, forestry, etc. of this sector is also called the agricultural or the relative sector. That means like fishing, dairy products, forestry, even all these are also the one which comes under your primary sector. यानी कि कोई भी natural चीज को जब हम collect करते हैं, that comes under your primary sector. उन सबको हम लोग primary sector ही कहते हैं. Next comes the secondary sector. The secondary sector include those activities in which the natural products are changed into the other usable forms in the form of manufacturing. It includes industrial activities. सारे काम जो हम इंडस्ट्रीज में करते हैं जहाँ पे हम लोग नेचुरल कमोडिटीज को नेचुरल प्रोडक्ट को फाइनल प्रोडक्ट में जब कन्वर्ट करते हैं with the help of machines, that is termed as your secondary activity or secondary sector. It adds the value to the natural resources. For example, sugarcane as a raw material for making sugar. Like एक छोटा सा example देती हूँ, sugarcane क्या है या cotton. प्राइमरी सेक्टर है, एग्रीकल्चर से प्रोड्यूस होता है, बट उसको हम क्या करते हैं इंडस्ट्रीज में फाइनल गुड में कन्वर्ट करते हैं. So it is the one which is now comes as a secondary sector. All the industrial sectors are the one which have been included in your secondary sector, and the primary commodities which have been converted into a valuable or a usable good by the manufacturing industry is the one which comes under your secondary sector. That means the people who have been engaged in manufacturing or industries are the one which comes under this sector. Next comes the tertiary sector. The tertiary sector is the one which do not create any goods. It's the one which generates services. Each and every type of services is the one which is generated by the tertiary activity. Like for example, you can just take it the transportation sector, communication sector is the one which comes under your tertiary sector. The most important thing related to the tertiary sector is that it helps in the development of primary and secondary sector. Like for example, I'll give you a small example, एक छोटा सा example देती हूँ आपको. Like for example, the commodities which have been produced in the agricultural fields. Like for example, एक farmer है उसने क्या किया sugar cane को produce किया. This sugar cane is the one which is a raw material for the industries. Now the sugar cane is the one which has been carried by transportation to the secondary, that's why industries. Industries are processing the sugar cane into sugar, and the sugar is again transported to the market. For this, what we required? We required a good amount and good transportation and communication. The tertiary sector is the one which provides the transportation and communication, which is very important for the development of primary and secondary sector in our country. Whereas, since these activities do not generate any commodities but it generates services, so they are also called as service sector. इस सेक्टर को हम लोग सर्विस सेक्टर भी कहते हैं. Service sector also includes some essential services that may not be directly help in the production of good. For example, you have teachers, doctors, lawyers, etc. They are also the one which comes under your tertiary ऑक्यूपेशन, आई थिंक सो क्लियर हो गया। टर्शरी सेक्टर या टर्शरी ऑक्यूपेशन वो ऑक्यूपेशन होता है जिसमें कोई गुड्स नहीं प्रोड्यूस होते हैं, इट्स द वन where the services are being produced, and it's the one which is a link between your primary and secondary sector, जो प्राइमरी और सेकेंडरी सेक्टर के बीच में लिंक करता है और जो हमारे प्राइमरी और सेकेंडरी सेक्टर को डेवलप करता है। Now, whereas if you just study about the three of the sector, the three of the sectors are the one which are very important for the development of a country, and in each and every country there's the different proportion of the population dependent on the primary, secondary or tertiary activity or tertiary sectors. If you just compare about India, agar hum India ko study karte hain, even in India the three of the sectors are the one which have been there and they're producing a large amount of goods and services, but the people working in these sectors who have been producing the goods and services can be dominating in one particular sector or can be less in the second particular sector. Like for example, India में primary sector में ज़्यादा population work करती है compared to your secondary and tertiary occupation. ठीक है, but in a recent few particular year it has also been seen that in India the tertiary sector is the one which has been increasing rapidly. But अगर हम employment का number लेते हैं तो primary sector ऐसा है जहाँ पे maximum people have been engaged and large number of people have been employed in the primary sector. That means the primary sector is dominating sector in our country. Now the next comes that why and how should the goods and services which has been produced in each sector should be counted, and why should be counted. It is the one that is the goods and services which has been produced in three of the sectors are the one which have been counted in a financial year. हर financial year में हम जितने भी goods और services जो तीनों sectors में हम produce करते हैं उनको हम count करते हैं. That's the one which is very important because it tells us about the GDP of the country. GDP होता है Gross Domestic Product of the country. उसको हम तभी find out करते हैं जब हम तीनों सेक्टर्स के गुड्स और सर्विसेज को ऐड करते हैं. नाउ द पॉइंट कम हाउ एक्चुअली द गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज हैव बीन काउंटेड. किस तरीके से हम हर गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज को काउंट करते हैं. अ स्मॉल एग्जांपल हैज बीन गिवन हियर, दैट इज वी जस्ट ऐड द वैल्यू ऑफ द गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज प्रोड्यूस्ड इन थ्री ऑफ द सेक्टर्स. जितनी भी गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज हम तीनों सेक्टर में जो प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं उनके सिर्फ वैल्यू को ही हम लोग काउंट करते हैं. वी डोंट काउंट द एक्चुअल नंबर ऑफ द गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज produced there. They just give an example here. Like for example, 10,000 kgs of wheat is the one which is sold at rupees 8 per kg. The value of the wheat will be 80,000. तो हम क्या calculate करेंगे? 80,000 calculate करेंगे. यानी कि the value of the goods and services in the three of the sectors are calculated and then added up. तीनों sector के जितने भी goods and services को हम produce करते हैं उनके value को add करके then comes the real and the GDP of a country. Only the final good is the one which has been counted. सिर्फ final goods को ही हम count करते हैं. Now the point comes that why only the final goods should be counted. क्या वजह है किस लिए हमें सिर्फ final goods को ही count करना चाहिए? Why should not the individual goods should be counted? The reason behind that is if you're going to count an individual group goods, अगर हम हर goods को count करेंगे तो it's the one where the goods will be counted again and again. एक ही चीज को एक ही गुड को हम बार बार count करेंगे. Like for example, I'll give you example. It has also been mentioned in your book. आपकी book में भी mention है. I'll just read out that particular thing. That what they have mentioned it. That is like for example, a factory is making a biscuits of rupees 60. ठीक है, that's the final good which has been making, which has been produced and sold in a market. Now what that particular company is doing it is adding the flour, the amount of flour in it, कि जो आटा उसने यूज किया है उसका अमाउंट उसमें वो पहले से ही यूज कर ऐड करते हैं. जो शुगर उसमें यूज किया है that is the one which has been added. Only the final good is the one which has been produced. एक जो फाइनल गुड प्रोड्यूस्ड हुआ है, जो बिस्किट हमारे पास आए हैं, सिर्फ उसका 60 rupees is the one which has been added. Because if you're going to add the amount of each and every particular commodity which has been used in making these biscuits, then the value is going to be doubled. तो intermediate product जो भी उसमें यूज हो रहे हैं उनको हम लोग बार बार नहीं ऐड करते हैं, हम सिर्फ उसका फाइनल गुड ही उसमें ऐड करते हैं. I just mentioned only the final good and services have been counted to avoid the multiple counting, since their price cover the cost of all intermediate products and services that we are used to produce the final output. Intermediate goods are used in producing final goods and services. The value of the final goods already includes the value of all the intermediate goods that are used in making of the final good. Another way of calculating the GDP is measure the value added to each product or the services at the each stage of its production. GDP तभी हमारा फाइनल और करेक्ट होगा अगर सिर्फ हम एक बार ही फाइनल गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज को ऐड करेंगे. अगर हम बार बार ऐड करेंगे तो इट्स द वन वेयर the multiple counting is going to take place, and if the multiple counting is going to take place, so the calculation of the GDP is going to be wrong. Now the point comes, that is, what is GDP? GDP is the gross domestic product, and it's very important because it is the one which tells the development of a country. The value of the final goods produced in each sector during a particular year produces the total production of the sector of that year, and the same of the total production in the three of the sectors gives us the GDP. तीनों sectors को हम लोग जो भी गुड सर्विसेज प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं उसको जब हम प्लस करते हैं, उसका जब सम निकालते हैं, that tells us the GDP of the whole country. It is the value of all final goods and services produced within a country during a particular year. एक साल में, एक फाइनेंशियल ईयर में हम जितने भी गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं उस वही चीजें हमारी जीडीपी में इंक्लूड होती है. इट शोज हाउ बिग द इकोनॉमी इज. जीडीपी इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बिकॉज विद द हेल्प ऑफ जीडीपी वी कैन जस्ट आइडेंटिफाई दैट आवर इकोनॉमी इज ग्रोइंग और इट्स डिक्लाइनिंग. दैट्स द वन, इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. नेक्स्ट कम, इफ यू जस्ट कंपेयर इंडियन सेक्टर्स फ्रॉम द एंशियंट टाइम, थोड़ा सा अगर हम हिस्ट्री से उसको कंपेयर करते हैं तो देव जस्ट मेंशन अबाउट द थ्री ऑफ द सेक्टर हियर. अगर हम पुराने टाइम पे लेते हैं, it was the one where the primary sector, that was your agriculture, was the one which was the most important economic activity or the sector of our country. हमारी country का maximum output used to be from your agriculture only. ठीक है, and maximum people were the one who have been dependent on this agriculture, but slowly it was the one where the method of farming started changing in our country, which has resulted in the agriculture increase in food crop. Green revolution हमने geography में भी किया है. Green revolution was that particular phrase in our country due to which the agriculture was been modernized in our country, और modernization की वजह से हमारा agriculture production बहुत increase हो गया था, तो we were able to produce a large amount of food crops in our country. ठीक है, now the things were the one ड्यू टू दिस एग्रीकल्चर की वजह से एक और हुआ, द नेक्स्ट टू सेक्टर्स वे द वन विच स्टार्टेड इंक्रीजिंग इन आवर कंट्री, लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल द सेकेंडरी सेक्टर and the tertiary sector, because the large number of transportation was been required. तो secondary sector और tertiary sector भी इंडिया में क्या हुआ, improve होने लगा. That was the most important thing which was been started. After that, after few years, it was the one, the new method of manufacturing industries, yeah, manufacturing was being introduced in our country. Large number of factories were the one which was been started and started expanding in our country. The people now started working in manufacturing industry instead of working at farms or in field or in agriculture. Even the commodities which was produced in factories, that was in your manufacturing industry, it was at the cheaper rate which were easy approachable by the people of our country. And slowly the secondary sector in our country started growing in India. It was also the one where the employment was being increased, the production and employment, both the things were the one which was been increased in secondary sector. That was a positive, you can say, step which started in our country after independence. Then it was the one Due to this, one more thing happened, that the people who were early working in the farms, जो पहले खेतों में काम करते थे, farms में काम करते थे, they were now started working in factories. ठीक है, और धीरे धीरे ये हुआ, that was a change in the sectors of our country where the people were more into primary sector. Now they started shifting toward the secondary sector and the tertiary sector, and this resulted into the production and employment of the people in our country in the secondary sector. Slowly, it was also the one where the tertiary sector was being developed in our country, whereas the large number of services were the one which was being provided. Reason behind that was because for carrying the commodity or the product which was being produced in secondary sector required a large number of transportation and communication. The more number of people were the one who started working in second that's working in tertiary sector, and they started carrying a large number of commodities in our country. This was the way how in Indian agriculture the sectors were the one which started changing. That was the economic development of our country started changing after independence. And this particular change we can see it from 1973 to 2003. This resulted in the increase in tertiary sector. If you just study about, you can just study your graph beta on your page number 24. Just see to it. I've not shown the graph here. On your page number 24, it's a graph one has been made there, and according to this they have just compared 1973 and 2003, that is GDP by the primary, secondary and tertiary sector. They've just mentioned it. In 1973, it was the one where agriculture was more compared to secondary and tertiary. But slowly it started changing. And in 2003, if you just study according to the graph, now the primary sector is the one which is very less, secondary sector has been increased, and the tertiary sector has been doubled than the previous. That means in India, tertiary sector is the one which has been increasing rapidly, and it's the one which has been replaced by primary sector. That's the one which is the most important thing which has been taking in a change has been taken in Indian economy, and which has resulted into the increase and the rise in the tertiary sector. Now the point comes that why the tertiary sector is the one which has been increasing, and what is the importance of the tertiary sector. If you just study about our country, is the one that is the service sector. The tertiary sector is your service sector. It provides service, that's especially the basic services, to each and every particular people of our country, like especially the hospitals, schools, and many such type of thing. Due to which it this particular tertiary sector is also known as service sector, and it provides the basic services. And the government of our country is the one who has been responsible for providing such type of services. Okay. Now these services are the one which have been growing in our country. The second is that the development of agriculture and industry led to the different services such as transportation, trade, storage, and many such type of thing which has improved the Indian economy. Whereas the increase in primary and secondary sector has also demanded for the different services which has been provided in the tertiary sector. Like for example, tourism is the one which has been increased. People move out for eating. They have the shopping malls and other particular thing. Whereas this has been improved the tertiary sector in our country because the demand has been increasing. क्योंकि income level has been increased, लोगों का income level increase हो गया, per capita income has been increased because of the tertiary and secondary, तो demand भी increase हो गई है. Tourism has been increased, the people prefer in eating out, and such type of things are the one which has been started, which has resulted into the increase in the tertiary sector. क्योंकि tertiary sector is the one which is going to provide such type of services to us. Not only this, if you just study about the from last few decades, even the services such as information technology are the one which has started playing an important role. They are the one which is very important because the technology is the one which has been rising rapidly, and due to rise technology is the one where the tertiary sector has been increasing. That means it's a positive indicator that in our country, India, it's the one where the tertiary sector is been increasing rapidly, where the maximum people have been now engaged or employed in tertiary sector. Class, just see your page number 25. Move to your page number 25. Your page number 25 is the one where the two graphs have been shown here. The graph is the one which is sharing you about the sector in GDP in three of the sector, and the graph third is the one which is showing you the employment percentage in three of the sector. If you just compare this, if you just compare this to it as the one, there is that the graph second shows that in 1973 the percentage of GDP in agriculture, that was the primary sector, was the maximum. ठीक है, हमारा सबसे ज़्यादा जीडीपी 1973 में प्राइमरी सेक्टर से आता था, फिर टर्शरी से आता है और फिर आता है सेकेंडरी से. But 2003 में this trend has been changed. It is the maximum comes from your tertiary sector, then comes your secondary, and then comes your primary sector. This is the GDP which has been changed in 2003. But just see your graph 3. Graph 3 is the one which is showing you employment in three of the sector. अब वो employment को थोड़ा सा indicate कर रहे हैं कि किस sector में सबसे ज़्यादा employed लोग हैं. If you just study about this graph in 1973, the maximum people were the one who have been engaged in agriculture. Secondary में सबसे कम थे, tertiary में उससे थोड़े से ज़्यादा थे. But 2000 में अगर हम देखते हैं तो condition is same, only the percentage has been changed. अभी भी employment सबसे ज़्यादा हमारा primary sector में है, फिर हमारा tertiary sector में आता है, फिर हमारा secondary sector में आता है. Now the point related to this, what is the reason behind this, that why the maximum people are been employed in agriculture yet in India as compared to GDP. अगर हम compare करते हैं तो GDP हमारा agriculture से कम आ रहा है पर employment सबसे ज़्यादा है. What is the reason behind this? So do try to read this. We'll continue with this particular topic in your next particular class. Thank you very much, class.